the doctor who always did my mammogram retired, and so I went to Tupelo instead of Amory and had a mammogram done at the imaging center. And I had taken my mammograms from Amory with me. So they did the mammogram, they called me into his office, and he said, "Miss Vaughn, it doesn't look like cancer. It doesn't have the shape of cancer. It's not the color of cancer." And then named off about 5 different characteristics of cancer. So I said, "I don't believe it's cancer." And of course, when he said the C word, I just blacked out. Everything was gone. Because my husband had died with cancer 3 years earlier. He wanted me to do a sonogram to see if it was a cyst, and it wasn't. He looked at the mammograms from 2 years ago, and the spot was there then. But I guess it had grown so little in that time that they just didn't realize that it was actually cancer. He wanted me to have a needle biopsy, and they were able to draw it out in the needle biopsy. It was about 1/4 of an inch. It was called ductal carcinoma in situ, meaning the cancer cells were basically large and milk duct in my breast, and they hadn't spread any further, but they did the lumpectomy just to make sure, and it had not spread, but I had to start in the first week in November and go through the end of January with 3 radiation treatments a week until I had completed about 35, 36. And that's been 10.5 years ago, and I have been cancer-free since. We did not have children of our own, or children born to us. And these others, the ones that we taught with, I'll just use them for example, they had children, and so they were involved in their children's activities. Whereas we made these our children, and we became involved in their activities. Going and doing with them and taking them snacks and whatever needed to be done. When I did the cheerleaders for 15 years, they were over at the house spending the night. They'd come over and I'd feed them supper. We'd go to the ball game, just it's what we did. I've been fortunate, as I said, I've been cancer-free for 10.5 years, and even when I was taking the radiation, I didn't have any problems with it. I take 1 pill a day, and so far, the checkups that I have had not had any problems with them. I don't advertise the fact that I've had breast cancer, but I insist, to anybody, well, I'm just not going to have mammogram. Oh, yes, you are. I encourage them. Just like my husband died from colon cancer. He would not have a colonoscopy, but made sure I did. And so my nephew that we raised said, "I'm not going to have one." I said, "Oh, yes, you are. You're going to have one." And he didn't want to. "Well, I'm not having another one." They have you drink that gallon and stuff. And I said, "Oh, yes, you are. You're not going to do like Uncle Ken." As I said, I taught at Hatley for 22.5 years, and then started coming back, I guess, probably 12 years ago, because Ken's been gone 14. I was here when we had 13 players. We could not, play against each other. We just had one line to line up. And I was here when they won only 1 game in 2 years. And I've been there. And my husband, when he was living, he was there with them. It's just like there's one former football player. We were playing in Aberdeen, and it was pouring down rain, pouring down. And Andy said, "Miss Vaughn, I looked up in the bleachers, and you and Mr. Vaughn were the only 2 up there." I said, "Well, we weren't going to leave, you know that." Back then, if you saw a child that needed a hug, you gave him a hug. And I was a big hugger. And I still am a big hugger. Because when the game's over, win or lose, wherever they are, the boys are huddled, and I'm out here congratulating or, patting them on the back or giving them a hug, trying to cheer them up. Those years that we won only 1 game in 2 years, anytime we won a game, it was exciting. I don't know, I just get excited supporting these kids because they're good kids.